welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Up this week is 3 reviews and 2 giveaways. Yes, we have some codes. We have some codes for Power Gunner, 10 of those, and we'll be giving those away during the, review of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2 codes of Vengeful Rights. If you recall, that is the VR RPG we featured not too long ago. Now, we're not reviewing that game because we do not have VR anything like this time. I don't think there's any interest among the cast in picking any VR gear up at this point, but you might have VR gear. You might be wanting this.
Technically, I have a smartphone and a cereal box.
Okay, we're talking about.
I know. I'm kidding.
Cardboard. That is VR. It's the low end, but it's still VR. Point of order: we have 2 codes to give away for that. We'll be doing that during the One Finger Death Punch 2 review. That is a handful title. Easy to get confused. Anyway, up first is Eternity: The Last Unicorn. This was a 1-code affair, so only I reviewed it.
And title, curse them for putting that song in my head.
I'm like, well, if they watch this, be sure, they may not have known. I'm not sure where Void Studios is located, but 1C Entertainment, they're a Russian publisher. But anyway, Eternity: The Last Unicorn is an action RPG. In spite of its look, it's drawing upon less, your usual Tolkien D&D fantasy tropes outside of, elves. The elves here do look like, the elves you would expect. Highborn elf. And that is that's an actual plot point within the game. But the skeleton of lore is actually taken from Norse mythology. Yes, another Norse mythology game. I don't know why that's such a thing this year, other than the fact that, Norse mythology is a free story guide.
Relationship with Greek mythology ended. Norse mythology is my inspiration now.
Yes. But it's unlike other titles we've reviewed this year, this is more using the places of things and the name of things rather than going to the actual, places and things. It's you do see Vikings, but you're in elven lands. You're going through forests and shit.
In fairness, elves is a thing in Norse mythology, although most of them were probably less tall and thin than Tolkien's ended up being portrayed as most of the time.
Yeah, you play the elf. I'm probably going to butcher this. Aurehen, Aurehen. Forgive me if I don't know how to pronounce this, but it is a made-up name. Anyway, her task, her grand quest is basically to save the last unicorn. It's in the whole backstory, the unicorns suffered a terrible plague, and the last one has their horn removed, and you're trying to save unicorns from going extinct. And if I'm recalling correctly, alongside that, elven immortality. And you will get other characters down the road. Honestly, I didn't get too far in this game, mainly because it's not very good. And that is to say, okay, so first problem, I don't for whatever reason, like this game went with pre-rendered camera angles. And if you don't know what those are, old school Resident Evil titles. It's like it's got the camera in one fixed position, and you move, and then it switches to a completely different perspective, fucks with your controls, fucks with your ability to see things. You get killed off screen sometimes.
That's always fun.
And there's no reason.
The reason it's called that is because the reason they used to do that is because the art in the background was pre-rendered art that could not be shown from more than one camera angle.
Yeah, and
I don't know what the excuse is here.
The excuse is because when people say this is a linear game, they mean it literally. Like, you're literally walking along a path. And the different camera angles are supposed to emphasize the pathway in various states of twisting and turning. I guess 10 points for realism, minus 10 million for execution. Like, and that's not the only old school trait that somehow found its way into this game that should have been left on the cutting room floor of time. Like, for example, this game has a checkpoint system. A checkpoint system that spans multiple encounters. So there is a good chance if you come up across, say, 4 or so enemies, you might get yourself killed. Which happened to me several times. And thus I had to complete the entire sequence over and over again. It's like, yeah, unnecessary repetition. I'm glad that this shit has mostly died out. Like that game we reviewed not too long ago, Helheim, had it right. It did encounter, checkpoint, encounter, checkpoint. You beat the encounter, you save. You didn't lose yourself to the repetition of fighting a battle you've already won. It's like, especially since we're talking about a save style and a checkpoint style that work best with console games. I guess this is more a console-styled RPG at that, but let's see. The actual combat itself is pretty shallow. You've got 2 attacks. You've got a hard and a light attack. There is a bit of additional versatility as the soft light attack goes mostly horizontal. The hard attack, the heavy attack, goes mostly vertical. And that actually factors into the creature that you're fighting, because you actually fight quite a few short things in this game. Like, so in order to actually hit them, you kind of want to use the vertical strike more. I mean, you can hit them with the other strike. It's just, easier with the other one. Like, as far as I could see, there's no block option. There is a dodge option, and it's got a lock-on feature, and they're not very good. Like, honestly, these are some mechanics that just have no excuse of feeling as clunky and imprecise as they do, considering, we kind of perfected this technology in 1998. It's like, plus it's doing subtly annoying things like, hit one of the triggers to focus on a different enemy instead of the kind of thing you do these days, and you use the other stick to do that. It's much easier, and especially when you got a game where camera angles aren't really a concern. So, what is this stick doing? I mean, you got a magic attack. There's the requisite crafting system, and it's all like, in spite of any sort of differential parameter, it's all fairly rote in terms of fantasy and mechanics and all that. Now I should note this game has actually been getting slammed pretty heavily for these things I've mentioned. Like, it's got a 39 on Metacritic. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, one of the worst games of the year. No, it's a bad game. Make no mistake. But I mean, hideously god awful. No, I just say more clunky and surprisingly dated. It, as far as its graphics go, nothing amazing. But this is an indie developed title. I wouldn't be expecting amazing production values from it. Honestly, I thought it looked fine. Generic, sure, but fine. Like, the soundtrack, once again, it's fine. It's like this game would have been mostly fine had it, left the PlayStation era bullshit back with that generation instead of inexplicably trying to pay lip service to it. The game clocks in at $20. It's got some DLC, digital art book, and digital soundtrack. You can pick those up for free. So it is just the $20. Obviously, I can't get a recommendation at $20. I can't really give a recommendation at any price. Like, honestly, there are better games. There are better hack and slash RPG things that we reviewed recently. Like, once again, go pick up Helheim. That is better and more interesting. Not too much so, if you recall our review on that, but it was better than this. Anyway, that'll about do it for Eternity here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Power Gunner.